I think all of us standing here as senators would confess that we're proud of the role that we played in this important historic step. And I certainly look to Joe and Susan and Carl as mentors, but I think we would all agree the true heroes are the service members who stepped into the public square after they'd been rejected by their country and said, we're not going to let this injustice prevail. We want to serve our country, and it took enormous courage. And when I heard at one of the early hearings from each and every one of the members of who'd been discharged that their first step, when, not if, but when we repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, would be to reapply for their commission or re-enlist. That sealed it, not just for me, not just for the committee, but I think for Americans. So we're here to honor you and to acknowledge you. I do have to say that Senator Collins, though, stands above all of us because of her immense strength and courage. She brought many in her party along to this point, and it's truly an honor for me to serve with Senator Collins. We're taking a giant step forward today, not just for national security, but also for fundamental fairness. Joe and I were just talking before we gathered that this was, from the beginning, an inadequate and deeply flawed compromise. It was a catch-22. It allowed the gay troops to serve by only allowing them to serve by compromising one of the core values that they're trained to uphold as members of the military, integrity. And it was wrong. It was hurtful. As the chairman just mentioned, it harmed our national security. It forced thousands of service members out of the military. And today we're finally putting it where it belongs, which is in the dustbin of history. I opposed Don't Ask, Don't Tell from the beginning, and I've been proud to fight for its repeal. But I think what's important to acknowledge is that the reason that this policy has been brought to an end is that America itself has changed. The late Senator Barry Goldwater, who was a World War II veteran, I think these senators here served with Barry Goldwater. He was a veteran, as I said. He was a staunch conservative, and he famously said, you don't have to be straight to shoot straight. And he was ahead of his time. And there was a time when the idea of open service was controversial. But when you talk to service members now, they'll tell you that times are different. They'll tell you what counts is a fellow service member's courage, loyalty, integrity, and commitment to the mission, not their race, not their gender, not their sexual orientation. And they'll tell you how harmful Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been to the units when members of their units have been discharged. And I've had a chance to talk to service members who've been forced out by this policy. Every single one of them is a brave and loyal member of our military. And as I said, every single one of them has said to me they will consider re-enlisting and reapplying for their commission once DADT is off the books. And now they're going to get that chance. Now, earlier this month, we reflected as to who we are as a nation and what it means to be an American 10 years after the tragic events of 9/11. We've sharpened our sense of what's important. We've put aside some intolerant views, and we've refocused. And what no longer makes sense to a majority of Americans, and what never made sense to my children's generation, is to force brave and loyal service members out of the military for simply being gay. So now, 18 years after Don't Ask, Don't Tell went into effect, we're ready to end it. The Pentagon has said they're ready to end it. Our troops say they're ready. And most importantly, the American people say they're ready. The service members who are with us, who will come out today, are the same soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines they were yesterday. The only thing that's changed is that as of today, they can be honest and open about who they are. And I hope we'll remind our grandchildren that September 20th, 2011 is the day we gave up discrimination in favor of unity. It's the day we strengthen our military by allowing it to attract our nation's best talents to defend our borders regardless of whom they love. Today is truly a day to celebrate. I think it's time to hear from these service members. Yeah. Let's hear from the true heroes and heroines of this important campaign and why we're here to celebrate.
No words can describe how it feels to stand up here and be able to say for the first time, my name is First Lieutenant Josh Seafried, and I am a gay First Lieutenant in the United States Air Force. It's a huge burden lifted off of my shoulder and the 65,000 other gay and lesbian and bisexual troops out there serving in the military right now. And every day when this policy was in place, there is not a single day that this policy does not consume you. This conversation comes up constantly. You're always in fear that you're going to lose the career you loved. When I was a child and I learned about the Air Force Academy, I looked up to those cadets, I looked up to those officers, and that was the career that I wanted. I wanted to be that person that helped this nation to make it stronger and make it better. And because of the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, I can now look at staying in the military and making this a career and not worry about losing my job. Today and every day, I can go back into work with just that burden lifted off my shoulder and not have to worry about it anymore. And I've already gotten calls from support from all my people at work saying, it's amazing that you had the courage to do this. And that shows us that it's business as usual and that there's not an issue. And I think by other gay and lesbian troops showing their faces, it proves the fact that there's not an issue. We weren't scared, and no one's going to go back and hurt us when we go back to our units. It's going to be business as usual and nothing more than a Y2K incident. But thank you for letting me talk.
Everything I've read and heard, and on top of the conversations I've had with active duty military, leads me to believe that the concerns that people have expressed, and you have to take those concerns respectfully, will be addressed, that unit cohesion and morale will actually be enhanced, and that in some across the board this will be a positive development for the military. We will treat straight soldiers and airmen and Marines and sailors the same way that gay service members are treated. I would not be a student of history if I didn't say that I'm sure there'll be some bumps along the way and there'll be some conversations and some robust debate, but we're big enough to handle that debate. And I believe the way in which this has been implemented has been important to the success that we're going to see. By that I mean the fact that we surveyed, we listened, we then took our time once the law was signed by the President last December to pursue the implementation. And when you have three great Americans like this standing in front of you who will also do their part to connect to service members who have concerns, I've no doubt that this will be a resounding success. I would say to Sarah, the Captain Pizzat, that I hear that the Marine Corps is already saying they're going to implement DADT better than any of the other service branches. But I bet the Army and the Air Force and the Navy are going to have their own deep commitment to doing the best possible job of implementing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal in ways that take everybody's concern into account.